Have you ever found yourself haunted by someone who barely even plays a role in your life? Maybe it's an ex, a fleeting crush, or a stranger whose name you don't even know. Yet, somehow, they keep showing up in your thoughts, over and over, uninvited, like a ghost with unfinished business. You try to brush it off. Maybe it's just a passing infatuation. Maybe your mind is just bored. But deep down, you can feel it. This isn't random. Something about this person sticks. Well, what if I told you it's not just in your head? Swiss psychologist Carl Jung believed that when someone keeps echoing in your mind like this, it's not a glitch. It's not obsession. It's not coincidence. It's a signal, a quiet message from your unconscious trying to reveal something about you. You see, Jung didn't see the mind as a single surface-level layer of thoughts and logic. No, he believed the human mind was more like a vast inner world, a labyrinth of ancient corridors, archetypes, and hidden truths. And what you consciously think or feel, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Below it lies the deep unconscious, where your past, your pain, your potential, and your patterns all live. So, when a certain person keeps circling your thoughts, it's not always about them. In fact, most of the time, it's about you. Your shadow, your desires, your wounds, your unrealized self. Let's start by talking about one of Jung's most powerful ideas, the shadow. Now, I'm not talking about the shadow you cast on the sidewalk. I'm talking about the parts of you that you've buried, sometimes without even realizing it. The emotions you suppress, the traits you deny, the impulses you label as bad, wrong, or not me. These are the things you hide from the world, and often from yourself. And yet, here's the twist. Those parts don't just disappear. They wait, silently, in the depths of your unconscious. And from time to time, they come knocking. Often, they do this through other people. That person you can't stop thinking about. They may be acting as a mirror, reflecting back something in you that's been waiting to be seen. Something you've ignored, rejected, or maybe even longed for. For example, maybe you admire someone's confidence because deep down, you're struggling with insecurity. Or maybe you're drawn to their creativity because you've been ignoring your own. Or perhaps someone irritates you because they act freely in ways you've never dared to. This is what Jung called projection. When we unconsciously cast parts of ourselves onto others. And the thing is, we don't see it. We feel it, as infatuation, admiration, frustration, even hatred. But behind those emotions is a deeper truth. This person has touched something inside you that wants to be acknowledged. Think of it like this. Your mind is not broken. It's brilliant. When someone takes over your thoughts, it's often because your unconscious is trying to guide you toward growth. It's showing you what needs healing, unlocking parts of you that have gone unexplored. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Jung also believed in the idea of anima and animus, the inner feminine and masculine forces that live inside each of us. No matter your gender, you carry both. The anima represents emotion, intuition, softness, and mystery. The animus symbolizes strength, structure, action, and reason. Now, here's the thing. Most people never fully integrate these inner forces. Instead, they project them, often onto people they're attracted to. That's why we sometimes become obsessed with someone we barely know. Because it's not them we're obsessing over. It's the part of ourselves they've awakened. Maybe a woman is drawn to a man who seems bold and decisive, not because he's her soulmate, but because her animus is calling her to embrace her own inner strength. Maybe a man is enchanted by a woman who's deeply intuitive, not because she holds some magical secret, but because his anima is ready to guide him into emotional depth. And the crazy part? We don't realize any of this is happening. We just think we're in love or confused or going a little bit crazy. But you're not crazy. You're being invited. When someone doesn't leave your mind, your unconscious is asking you to look closer. Not at them, but at what they represent. What part of you have you been ignoring? What longing have you silenced? What strength or softness is waiting to be claimed? This is where true self-knowledge begins. It's not always comfortable. In fact, it can be deeply disorienting because we grow up thinking we are who we appear to be. Our name, our story, our job, our habits. But Jung showed us that underneath all that is something far more powerful, the self. The totality of who we really are. And the self is always reaching for balance, always seeking to unite the conscious and the unconscious. And so, it sends you signals, sometimes through dreams, sometimes through anxiety, and sometimes through a person who doesn't leave your mind, a person who awakens something in you. A person who is, in truth, a message. That's the power of your unconscious. And Carl Jung believed that learning to listen to it isn't just important, it's essential. Because until you bring the unconscious into the light of awareness, it will continue to run your life. And you'll keep calling it fate. So the next time someone starts living rent-free in your head, don't rush to push them out. Pause. Listen. Ask yourself, what part of me is this person waking up? You might just find that the real mystery isn't about them. It's about you. Let's go deeper. Now that you've opened the door to understanding that the people who linger in your mind may actually be mirrors, let's explore another layer. One that stretches beyond the bounds of psychology and into the realm of the spirit. Because what if this connection didn't begin in this lifetime? Carl Jung was a man of science, but also of spirit. While many of his peers focused only on what could be measured, Jung wasn't afraid to explore the invisible threads that connect us across time, space, and even lifetimes. He spoke of the collective unconscious, a vast reservoir of memory, myth, and symbolism that all human beings are connected to. But the collective unconscious doesn't just live inside us. In many ways, we live inside it. And within that vast spiritual memory, there may be people, souls, whose stories are entangled with ours far beyond what this life can explain. Have you ever met someone for the first time, but felt like you already knew them? Have you ever felt an unexplainable pull towards someone, not just emotionally, but energetically? This is where ancient spiritual wisdom joins hands with Jungian insight. According to many esoteric and philosophical traditions, from Eastern philosophies to indigenous teachings, and even the spiritist lens, souls often travel together across lifetimes. These are known as soul groups, and within them, certain spirits, companions, teachers, even challengers, may return again and again to help us grow. Think of life not as a single book, but as a vast library. Each life is a volume, full of its own characters, lessons, and experiences. But the soul The soul is the reader, turning page after page, always evolving. And sometimes the same characters show up again, not by accident, but by design. That person you can't stop thinking about, that connection that won't let go, it could be because your souls have danced before. Maybe in another lifetime, you were friends, lovers, siblings, rivals, or perhaps they played a powerful role in your development, one that left an imprint deep in your spirit. And even though this life has changed the circumstances, your soul remembers. Of course, we don't always consciously remember, and that's part of the design. Imagine trying to live this life while carrying the full memory of every lifetime you've ever had, every joy, every heartbreak, every regret. It would be overwhelming. That's why forgetfulness is a gift. It allows us to be fully present, to focus on the lessons at hand. But sometimes echoes slip through. You feel it in dreams. Deja vu gut instincts. Intense emotions that seem to come out of nowhere. You can't explain it, but it feels real. That's your soul recognizing something your mind has forgotten. Now let's pause and really let that sink in. Not every connection is meant to be completed in this lifetime. Some people appear not to stay, but to stir. Their presence opens something in you. It might be love, longing, or even pain. But whatever it is, it's activating something your spirit came here to learn. And this is where the concept of reincarnation offers a powerful and compassionate perspective. Not as a punishment, not as a cycle of endless suffering, but as a classroom. Different experiences bring different lessons. And that's exactly why a single lifetime isn't enough to understand and live all the necessary teachings. Imagine trying to master every subject in school, math, art, biology, music, all in one semester. Impossible, right? That's what one life would be like. So in each incarnation, your soul chooses particular subjects. Maybe this time, it's compassion. Maybe in the next, it's humility, or forgiveness, or courage. The people who cross your path are not random. They're often the very challenges, reflections, and companions your soul has called in to help you grow. In this way, someone who won't leave your thoughts may be more than just a psychological trigger. They could be a soul reminder, an invitation to pay attention, not because you're meant to chase them down or rekindle a romance or solve some cosmic puzzle, but because through them, your own evolution is being nudged forward. Now, here's where most people get stuck. We tend to interpret emotional intensity as a sign that we're meant to be with that person. But soul connections are not always meant to end in romantic union or lifelong friendship. Sometimes their role is to awaken us, to hold up a mirror so we can see ourselves more clearly. And what we choose to do with that awakening is up to us. Let me tell you something powerful. Not every story needs closure to be complete. Not every bond needs to be acted on to be meaningful. Sometimes the greatest transformation happens within, not between. The moment you realize that someone is triggering something deep in your unconscious, be it a shadow, an archetype, or a soul memory, you shift from victim to seeker. Instead of asking, why can't I stop thinking about them? You start asking, what part of me is ready to grow? And that, my friend, is a question that opens portals. Carl Jung once said, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams, who looks inside awakes. So don't be afraid of the inner stirrings. Don't be ashamed of the thoughts that keep returning. They're not distractions. They are keys. Keys to the self, to the soul, to a deeper awareness of who you truly are and who you are becoming. This journey isn't easy. It takes courage, stillness, honesty, but you're not alone. Every one of us, at some point, is visited by a person we can't seem to forget. And maybe we're not meant to. Maybe we're meant to remember not them, but the version of us they awaken. So if there's someone living in your thoughts, take a breath. Honor the connection. Listen to the emotion it brings up, and then go within, not to escape them, but to find yourself. And now we arrive at the threshold. You've walked with me through the winding corridors of memory, psyche, and soul. You've looked through Jung's eyes and glimpsed the mysterious architecture of the self, where dreams speak, symbols guide, and certain people remain, no matter how much time passes. Let's take one final step. You see, there's a reason this person is still in your mind. It's not random. It's not weakness. It's not obsession. It's invitation. You're not being haunted. You're being called. Called to awareness, to integration, to evolution. That person may not be in your life, but their presence within you is alive for a reason. They're a messenger, not from the outside world, but from the depths of your own soul. Carl Jung understood this intimately. In his exploration of the psyche, he found that the most persistent images in our mind were not nuisances to be eliminated, but sacred signs to be decoded. The psyche doesn't waste energy. It speaks with precision. And when it speaks repeatedly, you listen. Because in the end, it's not about them. It's about you. You're the one who's awakening. You are the one being shaped by this experience, being stretched, softened, clarified. The thoughts, the memories, the emotions, they're your soul reaching out, saying, there's something here for you. Pay attention. Sometimes it's a lesson in letting go. Sometimes it's the opening of a past life memory. Sometimes it's the stirring of a part of yourself that was asleep, a forgotten dream, a hidden strength, a wound that's ready to be healed. And sometimes it's all of these at once. But no matter what form it takes, one truth remains. You are growing. Each emotion is a teacher. Each memory is a thread in the tapestry of your becoming. And while our culture often tells us to move on, to distract ourselves, to forget, true wisdom invites us to move inward, to not run from the echo, but to meet it with presence, to ask it with curiosity and courage. Why are you here? Because the goal is not to stop thinking about them. The goal is to understand why they live inside you. And once you understand that, once you truly listen, something beautiful happens. You begin to take back your power. You start to walk not as someone haunted by the past, but as someone guided by it. You become the master of your mind, the steward of your soul, and the conscious co-creator of your path. You realize that this entire journey wasn't about finding or fixing anyone else. It was about remembering yourself. And now, with that awareness, you can begin to shape your future from a place of clarity, not confusion. You can choose what kind of love you welcome, what kind of relationships you nourish, what kind of legacy you create, not just in this life, but across lifetimes. Because yes, the soul goes on, and each incarnation is a step in the great unfolding. Each life a classroom, each connection a lesson or a gift. even the painful ones, especially the painful ones. Not punishment, not karma, not debt, but design. Every soul you meet is another page in your sacred curriculum. And one day, when you've walked enough paths and gathered enough wisdom, you'll look back at this lifetime, at this very moment, and smile with gratitude. Because this was the moment you remembered. This was the moment you stopped asking, "Why can't I forget them?" and started asking, "What are they helping me see within myself?" So let me ask you, now, with all the depth and warmth I can offer, who's been living rent-free in your mind? Not just today, maybe for months, maybe even years. Why do you think they're still there? Tell me below. What do you think your soul is trying to show you through this connection? Let's not just learn about these ideas. Let's live them. Let's reflect together, grow together, awaken together. And if this message stirred something in you, if it helped you feel seen, understood, or inspired, then please like this video and subscribe to MasterKey. Because here, we're not chasing surface answers. We're exploring deep truths. Together, your journey is sacred. Your questions are welcome. And your presence here means more than you know. Until next time, keep seeking, keep remembering, keep unlocking.